नमस्ते। मेरा सबको प्यार भरा नमस्कार। मैं एडवोकेट दीपिका सिंह रजावत जम्मू एंड कश्मीर से हूँ। जम्मू में रहती हूँ, ऑल्दो मैं कश्मीर को बिलोंग करती हूँ, एक कश्मीरी पंडित हूँ और मैं जम्मू में सेटल्ड हूँ। तो मैं अपने आप को मानती हूँ कि मैं फुली जम्मू एंड कश्मीर से हूँ, क्योंकि मैं पैदा कश्मीर में हुई हूँ और बड़ी हुई हूँ मैं जम्मू में। पेशे से मैं एक लॉयर हूँ, एक एक्टिविस्ट हूँ। काफ़ी ज़्यादा चीज़ें हैं जिन पे हमें आज की डेट में मुझे लगता है कि बात करनी चाहिए, या फिर अपनी जगह पे हमें एक डिस्कशन जो है वो होल्ड करना चाहिए हर एक इशू पे, चाहे वो पॉलिटिकल हो, सोशल हो, या कोई भी एक ऐसा इशू हो। मुझे लगता है कि हम लोगों को कुछ इश्यूज़ पे जो है वो डिस्कशन करना चाहिए। टुडे इन हैंड आई हैव समथिंग विच आई feel is very sensitive, which I feel is very important to discuss, because ultimately it is very important that we protect the provisions of Constitution of India, which gives us everything, because it is the basic book of the country, and it is very important that we protect the provisions of Constitution of India. We worship it. We worship it, we don't abuse it, and it's not only we don't abuse it, we don't let anyone abuse it. So that is very important. We all know that in 2019 Article 370 was abolished, which created twin union territories. After Article 370 was abolished, we have seen two union territories, and how that was abolished, how Article 370 was abolished, what was the way adopted to abolish Article 370 is a matter of serious concern, has to be seen properly, has to be seen from legal point of view. Was it abolished in a proper way as prescribed under the Constitution of India, or it was done like in a haste manner it was done, or it was done something like both hasty and stealthy way was it done. So it is very important that since since the Constitution is there, since the provisions of the law since the provisions of Constitution are there, it is very important that we see that Constitution remain protected, the provisions remain protected. I was just going through a very important article on this subject, which I would request this article is something very important, and I would request everyone to bear with me once I'm reading it, because this clarifies everything on Article 370. This explains the law. This explains yeah, thank you so much. There's a person who is welcoming me, and I'm really thankful to you all that you are there watching me live, and I would request everyone to be there, understand the technicalities, which I'll try to read and explain. Ultimately, we all have to understand how Article 370 was abolished, and what was the way created, and why it was abolished, what explanation the central government gave at the time of abolishing it. So this article that I'm talking about is completely a detailed one, and I believe it clears everything. It even it explains the way that central government took at the time of abolition of Article 370. So I would request everyone to bear with me once I'm reading it. It is India underwent a major political, constitutional and political change as the central government through a presidential order set in motion the revocation of Article 370. The order has been followed by a bill through which the state of Jammu and Kashmir ceases to exist. Now let's see. What was the intention of abolishing of Article 370? What was the intention? What was the objective of abolishing of Article 370? Now let's see whether that objective has been achieved after Article 370 has been abolished. That is the question. That should be the question of everyone, because the intention, the motive the objective that was cited by the central government at the time of abolition of Article 370 was that the government had justified its move by arguing that Article 370 was a root of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. It has ruined the state, stalled its development, prevented proper health care and education, and blocked industries. And it was therefore necessary to integrate the region with the rest of India and develop it. And it has also asserted that its move has popular support in Jammu, Ladakh, even in the most parts of the Kashmir. So I believe what the central government said at the time of abolition of Article 370, that Article 370 was the root of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. It said that because of Article 370, the state could never grow. It said that it prevented health care in the state. It said that it blocked the education. It said that it blocked the industries in the state. It said that therefore it was necessary to integrate the region with the rest of the India, and therefore and develop it. So the reason, the objective that the explanation, the argument that the central government gave at the time of abolition of Article 370 was that Article 370 was a route to terrorism. Article 370 hampered growth. Article 370 could prevent proper health care and education and blocked industries. So I believe centers saying that without commenting on terrorism part, this terrorism part without commenting on that. When it comes to education, it comes to healthcare, it comes to industries, I would say that industries are flourishing in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Healthcare was there, education was there, and after abolition of Article 370, we have not seen change. We have absolutely not seen change in education system, in healthcare and industries. We have not seen change even after the abolition of Article 370, right? So let us read the article and discuss it further. It is additionally the state is being downgraded and divided into two union territories. The mechanism that the government used to rail down its rigid ideological position on Jammu and Kashmir through Rajya Sabha was both hasty and stealthy. This move will strain India's fabric. This move will strain India's social fabric, not only in its impact on Jammu and Kashmir, but also the portents it holds the federalism, parliamentary democracy, and diversity. In the past, in the present post, I would like to express my views on correctness of the government's decision, why the presidential order floats the constitution and is amendable to challenge before the courts. Let's read Article 370. Let's read the background of Article 370. India, at the time of independence, when India attained independence, freedom was granted to the princely states as well. These states had the option of either joining Union of India, Pakistan, or staying independent. Both India and Pakistan were making attempts to convince the rulers of these states to join their respective countries. The princely state of Jammu and Kashmir was a sovereign state as of 15th August 1947 as per the constitutional law creating India and Pakistan. It was in terms of such law that the then ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, Maharaja Hari Singh, who was the who was in power at that time, chose to accede to India through accession instrument of 26th October 1947. Such accession by ruler though unconditional, was only in matters of external affairs, communication, defense, and certain adultery matters. The remaining subjects were within the domain of Jammu and Kashmir government. The accession instrument expressly declared that nothing therein would affect the continuance of the sovereignty of the ruler in or over Jammu and Kashmir, and these conditions were reflected in Article 370 by an order of 1954. So I would read the para 2, 3, but the third para again. The remaining subjects were within the domain of Jammu and Kashmir government. The accession instrument expressly declared that nothing therein would affect the continuance of the sovereignty of the ruler in or over Jammu and Kashmir, and these conditions were reflected in Article 370 by an order of 1954. Another provision inserted by this 1954 order was the proviso to Article 3 of the Indian Constitution. This provision mandates that no bill providing for increasing or diminishing the area of state of Jammu and Kashmir or altering the name or boundary of that state shall be introduced in Parliament without the consent of the legislature of the state. In other words, Jammu and Kashmir has not only been merged into territory into the Indian Union, but has also explicitly preserved its territorial integrity and identity. Whether Article 370 can be abrogated. Article 370 itself mandates a recommendation of the State Constituent Assembly before President of India can declare it inoperative. The State Constituent Assembly was dispersed after framing Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir in 1947 without, however, making any such recommendation, nor can a recommendation of the state legislature be a substitute for requisite recommendation of State Constituent Assembly. It therefore follows that the competence of any organ of the Indian state to declare Article 370 inoperative no longer exists. The government-wide presidential order has amended Article 367 of the Constitution, which is the preparatory clause. As per the amended article, the expression Constituent Assembly of the state as used in the Constitution is now be read as Legislative Assembly. This in fact means that under Article 370, President now requires the consent of Legislative Assembly of the state and not the Constituent Assembly. So before they they abolished Article 370, they made changes in Article 367. This in fact means that under Article 370, the President now requires the consent of a Legislative Assembly of the state and not the Constituent Assembly. An important question that is bound to rise is why the government amended Article 367 and not Article 370 itself. Answer is twofold. So the question is, why did government amended Article 367 and not Article 370 itself? First, the erstwhile language of Article 373 did not allow the President to amend it without the concurrence of the Constituent Assembly. Therefore, the government cleverly changed the meaning of expression Constituent Assembly itself to Legislative Assembly of the state. Second, since Jammu and Kashmir has been under the governor's rule, which means that governor has the power to assume to itself functions and powers of government of the state. The central government can argue that since the powers of the government of the state were concurrently with governor, he could grant consent as required under Article 370 for seizing the operation of the provision. The presidential order is tantamount to the president doing indirectly what he could not do directly, amending Article 370 through Article 367 because he has no power to amend Article 370 directly. This is problematic. Now what? When governor had power to grant the consent under Article 373. As per the section 92(1) of Jammu and Kashmir Constitution, every proclamation made by the governor during the governor's rule need to be tabled before State Assembly as soon as it is convened. The governor can only take temporary actions, and actions with permanent consequences are to be taken by the state assembly only. The justification behind such a rule is a basic principle of democracy. The laws that govern citizens are made by their elected representatives, which are the members of the assembly, and not the governor who is appointed by the central government. I would read it again. The justification behind such a rule is a basic principle of democracy. That is, the laws that govern citizens are made by the elected representatives, which are the members of the assembly, and not the governor who is appointed by the central government. The governor's consent brings a permanent change to the governance of the state, which he is not empowered to do. The Honorable Supreme Court in Premnath Kaul versus State of Jammu and Kashmir in 1959 said, while discussing the article, opined that constitution makers assigned great importance to the final decision of the Constituent Assembly under Clause 3. In my opinion, the justification for such an importance could be that makers wanted to vest in the Constituent Assembly the task of protecting states from acts of central governments that are not in the state's interest. In the controversy in hand, the governor could not have acted as the guardian envisaged under the article, as it was answering to its political appointee and would have the interest of the center in mind as against the interest of the state. The government has time and again reiterated that Part 21 of the Constitution, which contains Article 370, is temporary in nature, as evidenced from its title, Temporary, Transactional and Special Provisions. While this is true, we cannot ignore that this part is an integral part to the Constitution as the other, as held by Honorable Supreme Court in Raghunath Ganpati Rao versus Union of India in 1994. Therefore, to see such an integral part of the Constitution being erased from the existence in an unconstitutional matter without any debate or discussion is shocking. The law recognizes acts of omission. In this case, no recommending or abrogation of Article 370. That is to say that by dissolving itself while recommending abrogation, the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir made clear its intention not to abrogate Article 370. An attack on federalism. India calls itself a union of states. The Constitution guarantees every single state the right of self-governance, which is why we have chief ministers in every state. Unlike union territories, we have lieutenant governors appointed by the center. Jammu and Kashmir signed to be a state and not a union territory. So today, even after the president signs the piece of paper that was just an hour of discussion, I'll read it again. So today, even after the president signs a piece of paper that was given just an hour of discussion, that was given just an hour of discussion to decide the fate of 1.25 crore people, it will have to pass through the state legislative assembly with two-thirds majority. Now let's see what are the other parts. To the President, Amit Shah quoted that governor's consent to the President, Amit Shah quoted the governor's consent as the consent of the state. The pride India took in its UN's advice when India approached the United Nations to solve the Kashmir crisis, the solution that was laid out had three conditions: demilitarization of POK by Pakistan, demilitarization by India, a referendum to be conducted wherein the Kashmiris will decide their fate. Until today, owing to Article 35A, no outsider could own a property in Jammu and Kashmir. This always gave an upper edge to India on international platform, which, unlike Pakistan, claimed that only the original inhabitants and their families live in Jammu and Kashmir. So if a referendum were to take place today, only the actual stakeholders would vote for themselves. Now anyone can go in and be a resident of Kashmir. So the bleakest possibility of a referendum is now permanently ruled out. Were alternatives available? Yes, but these would either have required the concurrence of Jammu Kashmir's properly elected representatives or a 2/3 majority in parliament to effect constitutional amendment. The government's action is from a legal standpoint very clever. I'll read it again. The government's action is from a legal standpoint very clever, but it is perhaps a two-bit clever, as the abrogation of Article 370 was a historical promise. The abrogation move was a bolster that government's ability to make the fruits of India's economic progress directly available to Kashmir. Yes, the manner in which this has been done is unlikely to inspire trust in the ordinary Kashmir, as may well cause lasting damage to tradition of constitutional propriety. I wish to state that any act, no matter how righteous, when done in violation of the principles of the Constitution, is an act of constitutional impropriety and liable to be quashed. The words of Justice Mittal in Madhurao versus Union of India squarely apply to the present controversy. It said, breach of any of the constitutional provisions, even if made to further a popular cause, is bound to be a dangerous precedent. Disrespect to the Constitution is bound to be broadened from president to president, and before long the entire Constitution may be treated with contempt and held up to ridicule. This is what has happened to Weimar Constitution. In sum, a purported process to change the constitutional status of a sensitive border state has been achieved without any legislative input or representative contribution from its people. The bifurcation of states in the past cannot be cited as a binding precedent, as under Article 3 of the Constitution, President seeks the views of legislature of the states concerned, even if concurrence is not mandatory. In the present scenario, Jammu and Kashmir has been represented by an unelected governor. Let me be very vocal on this point, that in the present scenario, what has been done in Jammu and Kashmir and how Article 370 was abolished, I would like to say that Jammu and Kashmir was represented by an unelected governor appointed by the centre, while Parliament has ventured to ratify the conversion of a state into two union territories without recommendation from the state. Sorry, but I'm really very sorry, but since this subject is very close to my heart, my state, I am from this state, and this sometimes gives me tears when we talk how our state was, how the special status was taken away, or how it was like imposed on us, or how what we have seen and the way that was adopted, although the objective was cited that the abolition of Article 370 is to bring change, is to have development, is to uplift or upgrade the healthcare system, is to boost industries, is to boost education system. But let me tell you one thing very frankly, we here don't see any change. We don't see any change. Even the rise in the infiltration, even the rise of the activities done by terrorists or the militants we can see are increasing. So I don't know what was the intent of the central government while abolishing the Article 370. Had their objective been actually to work for the development of the state, things would have been there. We would have seen the change in last 1 year, but unfortunately there is no change. There is no change. State is, we are like, earlier it was like when we had popular government, it was like we had people to approach to. We had government to approach to. Now we don't have anyone to approach to. It's such unfortunate that we don't have anyone to approach to. Even the people who have their grievances to highlight, who have their problems to get addressed, who have their their issues to be highlighted, they don't have anyone except the lieutenant governor, who has been elected by the central government, who is a political person here in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. See, when there is a popular government, we have our own representative to talk about us. We have our own representative to to approach to get our things done, to get our issues addressed. But now in state of Jammu and Kashmir, so many people come across, even I meet a lot of people, they say it is like we are orphans. Let me tell you very frankly, people say that it is like we are orphans, we have no one to approach to. Like it is like we have no one to talk to, we have no one to share our problems with, because all what are there with us are the bureaucrats, is the lieutenant governor. It's like, and to meet him, to take an appointment from him, sometimes it's a distant dream for a person who has no access to such such persons are the bureaucrats. I was reading the other day an article done by a very good newspaper. The babus and the bureaucrats hardly take phone calls. So when these bureaucrats who we have seen them not to respond to phone calls, to get problems addressed by, is something which I believe is completely difficult when they're not available over phones, or when they don't respond to calls. It is somewhere, I believe it has somewhere the other created more problems for us. It has somewhere because in the absence of popular government, we are seeing as if we don't have anyone to approach to, and we don't see where the state is going. We don't see what are we going to achieve. We don't see whether development is there or not. I think, see, Article 370, abolition of Article 370, which I believe was the political agenda, of the central government, but of the party which is in power. But whether agenda is to have development has to be seen. Whether their agenda is to develop the state, is to uplift the healthcare system, is to uplift the education system, is to boost industries, is the objective, or is the objective has to be seen. Because we, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, somewhere feel that Jammu and Kashmir is not less than an experimental lab. They feel like making experiments, and they come and they start doing experiments with us. They feel they make promises, they don't fulfill the promises. We don't have popular government here. Now we feel like having our own representatives who can who can represent us, who can get our issues addressed. So it is something that is being imposed on us. And I, without commenting on the fact whether the way Article 370 was abolished was not proper, was unconstitutional, that is completely clear, and I'm sure that has become clear after I read this article. But if I talk in very plain words, so I believe it is कि हमसे कुछ छिन गया है, हमसे हमारी बहुत प्यारी चीज़ छिन गई है. और जब कुछ अपनी बहुत सी प्यारी चीज़ आपसे छिनती है तो तकलीफ बहुत अंदर से होती है, दर्द बहुत गहरा होता है. सो इट इज़ लाइक आवर स्टेट इज़ नो मोर देयर. मुझे याद है आज का वो दिन जब हम लोग, आई थिंक इट वॉज अगस्त 2019, जब हम सब लोग सोए तो अपनी स्टेट में थे, उठे हम यूनियन टेरिटरी में थे. इट वॉज लाइक कि सुबह जब हम उठे हैं उस दिन, जब हमारी स्टेट जो है वो सीज हुई थी एज अ स्टेट एंड यूनियन टेरिटरी, वी वोक अप इन यूनियंस टेरिटरी। मैं तो इसको यूनियंस टेरिटरी बोलती हूँ, मैं इसको यूटी नहीं बुलाती, मैं इसको यूनियंस टेरिटरी बोलती हूँ। तो जिस दिन हम यूनियन टेरिटरी में उठे थे तो इट वाज लाइक कि हम कहाँ आ गए, इट वाज लाइक कि हम एक अलग सी जगह पे आ गए हैं जो शायद हमारी नहीं है। I'm really very sorry, I'm just getting very emotional on this subject, but forgive me. Since it's very close, since जिस जगह पे आप रहते हो, जो जगह आपके बहुत क्लोज होती है वो आपके दिल के बहुत क्लोज होती है, तो दुख बहुत गहरा है, दुख बहुत अंदर से है कि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर को हमेशा से एक समटाइम्स आई फील वी आर पोलिटिकली विक्टिमाइज्ड पीपल नाउ। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हमारी स्टेट जो है वो पोलिटिकली विक्टिमाइज्ड हो गई है, हम पोलिटिकली विक्टिमाइज्ड है। हमारी स्टेट सिर्फ एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल लैब रह गई है सब लोगों के लिए कि आओ और अपने एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करो, चाहे वो पाकिस्तान हो, चाहे चाइना हो, या फिर आप किसी भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की बात करो। हम कश्मीरियों की बात तो मुझे लगता है कि इवन आई एम अ कश्मीरी पंडित, आई एम अ कश्मीरी, आई एम अ प्राउड कश्मीरी। मुझे लगता है चाहे वो जम्मू के लोग हो या फिर आप जम्मू कश्मीर, आप जम्मू को लीजिए, कभी हम बात करते हैं तो कश्मीर की बात करते हैं। और इवन मेरे जम्मू के भाई है, इवन हमारी जम्मू की रिप्रेजेंटेशन है, मुझे मिस लगती है। तो इन अ वे मुझे लगता है कि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर जो है वो सिर्फ एक पॉलिटिकल इशू है। जम्मू एंड कश्मीर सिर्फ एक पॉलिटिकल एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल लैब है, और उस एक्सपेरिमेंटल लैब में नए नए एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए जाते हैं विदाउट seeing the interest of the people, without seeing whether we are actually addressing the problems of the people or not. So it is that I wish कि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर जो है, जो भी फैसला है आर्टिकल 370 का जो फैसला है, या फिर हमारे जो यूनियन टेरिटरी बना है, हम लोग कई ऐसी उस समय बातें आई कि नहीं चंडीगढ़ में जैसे डेवलपमेंट हुई है या बाकी जो यूनियन टेरिटरीज है जैसी डेवलपमेंट वहाँ हुई है, वील ऑल्सो हैव सच डेवलपमेंट इन आर स्टेट। जम्मू एंड कश्मीर विल बी अ डेवलप्ड प्लेस नाउ। बट 1 साल हो गया, यकीन मानिए ऐसी कोई डेवलपमेंट हम लोगों ने देखी नहीं। बस अगर देखते हैं तो कुछ ऐसा देखते हैं कि आज टुडे वी आर प्रॉमिस दैट दिस विल बी डन टू यू। आप लोगों की जम्मू कश्मीर की अपनी आइडेंटिटी विल नॉट बी रूइंड, सो इट विल रिमेन इंटैक्ट। बट कुछ समय के बाद पता चलता है कि ऐसा एक कानून आ जाता है कि हम पे थोप दिया जाता है। लाइक रिसेंटली लैंड लॉ जो है वो हम लोगों पे थोपा गया। वी हैव नो अदर ऑप्शन at the max going to the honorable Supreme Court and waiting for the turn to come. That is the option available with us, because when we talk about Article 370, yes, we are against, the people of Jammu and Kashmir are against it, and they have approached the honorable Supreme Court, but see, the turn has not come. So it is like whatever is imposed on us, we are with it, and we are without expressing our views, or without having a proper platform to highlight it, or it's like कि national interest में, yes, we support national interest, nation comes first, but I think जो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर की अपनी आइडेंटिटी थी, that is gone, and वो एक जो दर्द है वो बहुत गहरा है। Our state has been like वेरी वाइब्रेंट, एक बहुत ही, कहते हैं कि अगर कहीं स्वर्ग है तो वो धरती पे है, वो यही है, वो हमारा जम्मू एंड कश्मीर है। अपार्ट फ्रॉम द पॉलिटिकल इशू, अपार्ट फ्रॉम द क्लेम्स फ्रॉम दिस पर्सन और द अदर पर्सन, फ्रॉम दिस साइड और द अदर साइड, विदाउट कमेंटिंग ऑन दैट, आई बिलीव पीपल ऑफ जम्मू एंड कश्मीर somewhere the other have been victimized, and say it be Muslims, say it be Kashmiri Pandits, or say it be Dogras, I believe we have been victimized, and we are nothing. जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, एज आई टोल्ड यू, लाइक मुझे लगता है कि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर सिर्फ एक पॉलिटिकल पर्सन्स के लिए एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल लैब है कि आओ और अपने जो एक्सपेरिमेंट्स है वो करो। विद इट आई बिलीव समवेयर आर्टिकल 370 जिस तरह से एबॉलिश हुआ था, कहते हैं वो एक चोरी से काम करना, चोरी से उन लोगों ने इस चीज को खत्म किया, आर्टिकल 370 को खत्म किया। अगर आर्टिकल 370 को खत्म करना ही था, इट वुड हैव बीन इन अ प्रॉपर वे, इट वुड हैव बीन डन इन अ वे prescribed under the constitution, but it was not done like that. So it was done in a hasty manner. It was done रात के अंधेरे में. I must say it was done in a it was done in a stealthy manner. So it was done like that, without even considering the wishes of the people of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, without even considering the interest of the state of, without even considering the interest of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Anyway, now since it has been imposed on us, we have no other option than to be with us, be with it. We have no other option. But we hope that development takes place. We hope that कि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर जो है वो एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल लैब ना रहे, जो कि मैं आपको बता चुकी हूँ कि कुछ पॉलिटिकल लोगों के लिए सिर्फ एक एक्सपेरिमेंटल लैब है जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, वो ना रहे. हम लोगों के जो इंटरेस्ट है, हम लोगों के जो विशेस है, हम लोगों के जो राइट्स है, हम लोगों के जो हम लोग चाहते हैं उसको भी देखा जाए. एंड with that I am thankful to everyone who have been there with me. और मुझे सुना, जितना भी मेरा सब्जेक्ट पे नॉलेज था, मैं उस चीज़ को बोल पाई हूँ. although this has not been my subject, frankly speaking, this has not been my subject, but I've tried to keep my point on it. It's only that I can at the max request the people from the other parts of the country, just be with state of Jammu and Kashmir, be with us, because it is very important that you support, that you understand what we feel. Imagine sleeping in your state, in your place, and waking up in someone else's place. You can imagine the pain we must have gone through. Imagine the restrictions imposed. Imagine you living without network. So you can well imagine imagine what has been done to us, and let's hope that it be a blessing in disguise. Let's hope कि ये सब चीज़ें हमारे लिए अच्छी prove हो जाए. Ultimately, we want development, we want progress, we want a law to be upheld, and we want everything to be in proper way. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Requesting for your support, requesting for your your support with us, and thank you so much with it. God bless you all.